The funding for this video is provided by the amazing members of my Patreon. Also contributions from viewers like you. Thank you. Yeah, I started from PBS Kids. What you gonna do? Fight me? Anyway, roll the video. Hi everyone, so I need to make a slight correction before we get into the rest of this video. As I'm sitting back and editing and listening to it, I realize I said some things that could come off across as confusing, so I will go ahead and clear that up right now. Doc McStuffins did in fact have black writers on the series, but most of the writers, meaning the ratio difference, were white people, and those black writers that wrote on Dr. McStuffins, they are credited for like the least amount of episodes compared to the white people who wrote for this show. So that is what I am talking about when I speak about that aspect of what I will bring up later on within this video. I really hope I was able to clear up any confusion that would bring on later on, but yeah, that was a fact that I needed to go in and correct and make more clear, because I don't want you guys thinking that no black people wrote on the show, because it's not true. It's just they weren't the majority. It wasn't most of them. Hi everyone, thank you for tuning in for today's Disney-cember. I do have some brief little announcements that I need to make today before we get into today's subject matter regarding Doc McStuffins. But today's Disney-cember was supposed to be the High School Musical Disney-cember, where I react to you guys' unpopular opinions about the movies. But I came down with a really nasty headache today. I still have it as I'm sitting here recording this. It's been a difficult last 12 hours of my life, I'd say. I don't necessarily feel good, and I know because that video is gonna take a while to record, because I do want to get through you guys' responses. Over 100 of y'all have commented on it. It's a lot to go through, and I do want to make sure I go through every single last person's response. I felt like it'd be better for me to do that video on another day. I just am not doing well right now. And then also, if you guys have bought from my shop, I did announce this in my last video, but I'm doing my best to make sure I get you guys' stuff out to you guys. I am hoping that it arrives before Christmas, but it's just kind of been a lot of miscommunication going on with my vendors. Things that were supposed to be done in time are not done. Other things are stuck in transit. My thank you cards never came. It's just kind of been crazy for a lot of just small business owners at the moment that sell physical products to people. So I genuinely do apologize. It's kind of odd because the holiday season this year, last year around this time, I was not having these issues. But now that we have gotten that out of the picture, let's go ahead and talk about Miss Doc McStuffins. Doc McStuffins is a Disney Junior series, and back in the day, if you're my age, we knew Disney Junior to be Playhouse Disney. Playhouse Disney is the new Disney Junior, and it was just basically the preschool block for Disney Channel, and now it has its own channel now called Disney Junior, like how Nickelodeon had Noggin, and then they ended up turning Noggin into Nick Jr. So it's basically the preschool block. A lot of kid brands, I would say, do have a preschool block, because I know PBS Kids has a preschool block where it will air in the morning, and then in the afternoon they will play their shows that are catered towards everyone. But usually the morning blocks would consist of just the preschool blocks, because that's when little small children are awake and up in the morning and whatnot. But they also have the 24-hour channel, because once the Disney Junior block ends on Disney Channel, they just go and start playing the stuff that is for all ages, not specifically those under the age of 6. So Doc McStuffins is a series that I did watch a lot of when I was in high school. I would be very completely honest, and it was simply because it was just a really nice, relaxing show. It was a show about a little black girl that wanted to be a doctor, and she would always be practicing on her toys and whatnot. Her toys came to life. Logic doesn't matter with this show, okay? Just go with it. It's a very cute, fun, wholesome series. Loved it. It had a very positive influence on me as a teenager. It's a very relaxing show. Highly do recommend it. You just need something to throw on in the back if you need some background noise. But in the recent years, I have been reminiscing a lot on a lot of my favorite things from my childhood. And I know one of my mutuals, the Wacky Deli, we love them. They are very well educated, I'd say, when it comes to the subject of preschool programming, and I will have their channel linked down below if you guys would like to see that. Support my friend. I love them. Their work is highly underrated. Y'all really should go watch it. Alright, link will be down below. But they have been making more content about like preschool animation and how it doesn't get taken seriously and all that. So that's really what I wanted to do today for the subject matter. But when it comes to preschool animation, there's really not much to talk about, I'd say, because it's just everything is highly repetitive. Nothing of anything really happens, I'd say. You're introduced with an issue, they solve the problem, and then everyone celebrates, and then the day is done. That is the usual concept of preschool programming. So with Doc McStuffins, that's literally just what it is. It's a fan, and also we do see a lot of the black family because the mother of the family in Doc McStuffins is a doctor, and that is what inspired Doc to be, like, you know, a doctor too. It's really cute, sweet, wholesome content right there. But it's just one little thing, not even a little thing. This one small thing resulted in a big problem with the show overall. I went to go into my research for Doc McStuffins, and I looked up and I looked at the voice cast, and it is just black. Like, there are white voice actors, but they're not like voicing like white people or anything like that. I am very much happy that black people are voicing the black characters within the series, and I am happy that a lot of the characters we see in the show are black. Like, we do get to see the family. Theme song is literally sung by a black woman. Very much appreciative of how there are black people working on screen, I'd say, in particular. Like, the voices that we hear are black, the people that we see in the series are black, and they're dark skinned to be exact. We love that. But when I looked up the creator of Doc McStuffins, I saw that Doc McStuffins was created by a white woman. That right there is not necessarily a problem, because I know a lot of white people want to do their part with helping people of color get representation for them in the media, and not just better representation, just more representation, because there's not nearly a lot of black media out here as you guys think it is. And then a lot of the black media that we have out here is not good, and part of that reason is why it is not good is because it is created by white people. It's not an issue that is created by white people, like I'm saying with Doc McStuffins. I didn't see an issue with a white woman coming up with the concept of this show, but here's the problem. Why is Doc McStuffins written by white people? Why aren't there any black people in the writers' room? Because I looked at them writers, those people are white. Like, a lot of the other people that wrote for Disney Junior shows are white. And I'm gonna go ahead and tell y'all, a lot of the Disney Junior shows out here are not about white people. That's the problem with Doc McStuffins. It's like, you got a few things right. Yes, I think it's a great idea that a white person wanted to create a show, but it really should have just stopped right there, because if you want to create something about a person that is not like you, it is best to go in and do your research, but also it's important to bring on a creative who is that kind of person. I always praise Craig of the Creek for that, but if you guys do not know, Craig of the Creek is created by white people. But guess what? Them animators is black, them writers is black. They created something and was like, hey, we want to make a show about a black kid and the family and the culture and all that, but we know damn well this is not our story to tell, so we'll create it, but y'all can take control of it. I genuinely appreciated how they did that. A lot of white people don't do that in Hollywood. They want to create something for black people, but they don't want black people to be involved with it. And by any means, I do not think Doc McStuffins is a bad show whatsoever. It's, like I said, it's really cute. It ain't no Sophia the First, because Sophia the First is another topic for another discussion when it comes to like Disney Junior quality, and that, in my opinion, is one of Disney's best preschool shows, in my opinion, because it actually had like a damn story and all of that. There was actually lore to it. Sophia the First, we praise that show over here in this house. We praise Doc McStuffins too, with the exception of the issues with this just having a whole bunch of white people behind it. It's just, like I said, there's nothing wrong with white people working on it. It's just, it's a problem when you see that it is literally, okay, I'm a white person and I'm gonna create this, but this is what you need to say, this is what you need to act out, this and that and the third. And somebody even had pointed out before in an article that I did feature on my channel about how this is seen as puppetry. Like, I don't understand why y'all are so quick to be like, oh, I want to do this for the black community, I want to do that for the black community, but not trying to sound ungrateful or anything like that, because yes, we are very much appreciative of white people that do want to help the black community, because nothing is going to be done about, you know, the anti-blackness and just the racism into the world until we can all come together, because we saw that with the civil rights movement, how things really didn't start to get better, I'd say, until the white allies came out to support and whatnot. But even with the black allies in that, not the black allies, the white allies within that situation, they still were listening to black people and helping them and doing whatever the fuck. They weren't sitting there trying to take over for the movement. Most of them specifically, they weren't there trying to speak for the black people. Like, they were speaking up for them, but they weren't trying to take control over the entire narrative. That's what it feels like when we see that there are black shows out here, but the only people behind the scenes of them are white. Diversity is something that cannot just be reflected on screen. It needs to be happening behind the scenes just as well. And y'all can absolutely shut the fuck up when it comes to the subject of, we don't need more writers of color, we need more competent writers. Why do y'all constantly use that excuse when we're just saying that we think more people of color should be working behind the scenes of Hollywood, especially in that writer's room? Because somebody even pointed out about how, have y'all noticed that so many of the conversations that we see within our media, especially within the last 10 years, sound like somebody on Twitter said that shit? And I was like, yes, Hollywood loves to keep an eye on black Twitter to see what they're saying, and then they copy it and put it into their works. They thinking they slick, they not. That's why we're just like, why are we paying for Twitter? Twitter needs to be paying us. That discourse right there is just a result why there's so much weirdness when it comes to the subject of writing for characters of color. At this rate, we know that there are a bunch of white people out here that know how to write good, all right? But as a white person, you need to listen out and listen to people of color just as well. If they're talking about how you're making a production that's full of people of color, you should have people of color on your team, because what goes on behind the scenes should be reflection of that just as well. It's good to hear from these people. It's good to speak to these people and see from these people to get the best input that you need for your product to be the best that it can be. Hi everyone, the captain here. I just wanted to get on here real quick and tell you guys thank you so much for your support. I have gotten so much fan art from you guys, and I've met plenty of y'all in person at the conventions that I have been at. And also thank you guys so much for coming to the panels that I host. It means so much to me. You guys are so great. I appreciate every little last bit of support you guys give me. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I can say thank you 100 times, but I truly do mean it. Thank you. And also, I don't know if y'all don't notice, but white people really shouldn't be taking up all the jobs in every single last field of work, because while we have been seeing more people of color pop up within Hollywood within the last 10 years specifically, it is still very much white dominated. We don't really have black owned much of anything within the film industry, with the exception of Tyler Perry Studios. And I'm talking about things that are big. I'm talking about like things that are big and people can recognize them. There are a lot of black owned production companies out here, okay, but plenty of us don't know them, and the one that we know the most is Tyler Perry Productions, and everybody has their own opinions on that man and his work right there. But I will go ahead and say this, that I do appreciate the fact that Tyler Perry was able to make his own brand and his own name, and people actually recognize it and know it. Like this, he knows his niche, he knows what he's creating, and a lot of his work is specifically for black people. We need more Tyler Perrys out here, okay? He can't be the only person that we got that shit for, because yeah, we can praise Tyler Perry for how he got to the way he was and all of that jazz. Like, not an issue right there. We can praise Lee Daniel for how he got to where he was and everything like that. And Oprah, let's throw Oprah in there just as well. Those three right there, we can continue to praise them, but they should not be the only ones there. We do need more black owned things within the film industry. We do need more black writers on the writing team for series that are about mostly black people. We need more Indian writers specifically. I spoke about this when it came to Spin in the past. We need a little bit more of everything. There's enough white people within Hollywood. And for the white people that are watching this right now, do not take it the wrong way when I say this. I am not saying that there is no space for you in Hollywood, because there is. But it's guaranteed that white people are more likely to make it in Hollywood than people of color, because you know why? The field is so white dominated that so many of them get the jobs first. So many white people are hired first on the spot compared to people of color. Like I said, it doesn't really matter half the times when it depends on how good a white writer is or not. Plenty of the times they will take a job from a person of color if the series is about people of color, and they will write for that and let it be. That's why it's a lot of series out here when I'm sitting here and watching them, and I was like, why does it sound like a 40-year-old white man wrote this shit? And I'm like, oh, because it was written by a 40-year-old white man. Black people should be writing for black characters, all right? And no, I'm not gonna sit here and just hate Doc McStuffins, but I did mention this when I did my panel back in MomoCon, how the diversity with Doc McStuffins is a bit questionable because it's black as hell. Like, the family black, the theme song is black, it's black. Appreciate it. And then the black community loves them some Doc McStuffins. I've been seeing so many Doc McStuffins cosplays out here. Doc McStuffins is a staple in the black community, but it does put a little bad taste in my mouth to know that there were not that many black people involved behind the scenes of the series, with the exception of the voices that were needed for it. It's just very questionable, very much concerning, but because you know, people in this industry, they look and things like that. It's just important to take into consideration that if you want to make something for people of color, or if you're a person of color and you want to make something about another person of color too, it's good to bring on people of color of that race to work on that just as well. Because if I wanted to make a series about an Indian girl, I'm gonna go out and talk to an Indian person about what I need and what I should do and this and that and the third, and then I will most likely bring them onto the production just as well, because that's just kind of the right thing to do in a situation like that. Hi, editing me here. I want to make a little bit more specific about this. This is mainly about productions that have a lot of money behind them. I'm not really talking about independent productions ran by like a few people that can't really afford much and whatnot. They can go out and talk to persons of color about these things, about what they need to put within their series. But I'm talking about like companies in Hollywood, like not companies in Hollywood, shows in Hollywood that have money behind them. And like Dr. Stuffins is Disney, they have money behind them. They could have went out. There's room for everybody in this industry, all right? And I'm just so far removed from the entire we don't need black writers, we need more competent writers situation, because we've seen white people that can write good for people of color all the time, but it low-key doesn't mean shit. Writing room is white and you look on screen and you see POC. I am just going to leave it at that. 'Cause I work hard to get to this point in my life. I'm blowing up, so don't hate, just congratulate. The Powerpuff Girls will just blow your mind. Buttercup like villains 3 at a time. Bubbles will smile while kicking your butt, and Blossom will lead them out of their rut. Cherish and Powerpuff, 2 of a kind. Both wanna save the world before bedtime. From Townsville, Memphis, New York to LA, the Powerpuff Girls are just here to stay.